Hello lovelies, and welcome to my first video on embracing the inner goddess. Say hi to Isis, who will be extremely important in the upcoming videos, and I'm wearing my Lilythe earrings as well, who obviously is very important to me. Today's video is more of the introduction into what this series is actually going to be. It is going to be what I'm calling a super vlog, so it's going to be a little longer than other videos perhaps. Some videos will be more focused on just talking about a specific goddess and various stories about them and what the patriarchy and Christianity have turned them into versus what they originally stood for, or talking about sisterhood and some things on that, or a video could be just on embracing your inner goddess and your inner warrior, or just on some stuff in general that patriarchy and Christianity have done to destroy that inner goddess, inner divine feminine, and our connection to nature to begin with. So I'm not really going to go into much detail on any of the subjects today. Today is just to kind of explain what the series is and give a few book recommendations that could help along the way to get started and to kind of give you an idea of which direction I'm going into. Now you may be asking, why are you all of a sudden coming up with this as an idea? Well, for one, my undergrad was in women's studies and history, so all these subjects are obviously something that are a big part of who I am as a person, and I am obviously educated in it, and I also did a lot of organizing related to the subject of feminism and women's issues, and I myself am a more gender queer. I am not cis female, so that right now I'm going to make it very clear that when I'm talking about femininity and the divine goddess and feminine energy and women power, I am not talking in terms of what American society has deemed feminine qualities versus masculine qualities. I'm talking more in terms of pre-Judeo-Christian patriarchy ideology, back when the world was more matriarchal, or where it was more equal, where people worked more in harmony. There wasn't as much hierarchy to begin with, where if there was somebody that was seen as wise that they'd come to, it would be that wise old hag, as we call it now, who was actually the witch, basically. It was like the female healer who had energy and power, and that divine female energy that connects us to the earth. And I'm going to be talking about sisterhood, and part of the reason why I'm including sisterhood into this, because I know it seems like there's so much that I'm putting into this one little series. The reason I'm including sisterhood is, for one, it's a great element into this, and for two, we are divided as women, and the system creates it to be as such. Three, during the past 6 months of really doing these videos, focusing on my business, and meeting various people through that, I've gained some connections, like right off the bat, after like one message, or even before we'd even speak, and it's like, whoa, you know, it really is this empathic, natural, like, empowerment feeling we can get from women. And I also think sisterhood and empowering each other is extremely important, because I also have had a lot of drama with other women who I adore and love, and I think that it just becomes natural and subconscious, and we don't even realize we're doing it at first, because that was kind of brainwashed into our minds to have competition or to not trust other women or whatever, due to the patriarchal constructs in our current society. Another reason why I decided to do this now is hating to bring in politics, but just looking at the political arena right now, our two main candidates is a female on one side who I personally don't think is the most progressive or greatest example of women empowerment and sisterhood and all of that. But I mean, it's great a woman's running for president, and I don't mean to offend anyone who could be a big Hillary fan, and I don't think I really have any Trump supporters, so I don't think that the next thing I'm going to say is really going to offend anyone, but he is a great example of the chauvinism and the misogynism and the hierarchical, like everything that this series is anti. And a person who would have been running in his place if he had not gotten the Republican position would basically create a Christian dictatorship in our country. Cruz was a very evil man, even though I don't believe in the word evil. I'm using it for all intents and purposes. He was a very dark man for any person that was not white, cis, and Christian, who was not a WASP, but basically. So, this is a very, very important time for women to get back into our wild selves, learn our history, like our true history, learn about these amazing goddesses, and a different outlook on their stories than what we may have heard prior, like Lilythe, for example, or even Hecate. There's so many crazy things that have been said. I mean, if you do a simple Google search on some of these goddesses, you will find only them, they're being praised, but for being dark and for being these demonesses or whatever, and it's like, that wasn't what they originally even were. So I want to kind of disprove, dispel, rid of some of these ideas around certain goddesses, and also, with doing so, educating and empowering other women, men, and everyone in between, because I think that everyone can benefit from feminine power and energy. We need both feminine and masculine energies, and I'm not talking about, again, the binary system, and I want to make that very clear. I'm talking about, when I'm talking about feminine and masculine for the purposes of these videos, I'm talking about energy, earth energies, that come from our earth, not like the binary situation created by our society and anthropological, cultural, whatever. So that's pretty much the gist of what's going on here. And another idea to give as an example of what the patriarchy Christian thing is the example I brought up in my Do I Believe in Angels, Demons, and Fairies video from my YouTube Pagan Challenge video from a week and a half or so ago. I mentioned the idea of the underworld being now seen as like this dark whatever. The underworld was not a negative idea back when these gods and goddesses and mythologies were first being taught and praised. It was just a place in which the spirits went to, and it was the next stage after life, and it was seen no different than being alive. So it was very equal. Like darkness and light are equivalent. Life and death were both stages, because everything was kind of related to these seasons of the earth and how everything dies and everything is recycled and all of that. So I want to also educate on that. As for our inner goddess, our inner feminine, our wild woman warrior, inner goddess, this goes for women, men, everyone in between. And that is because it's not, again, about just this binary idea. It's this lost connection that we have to our natural psychic abilities. It has to do with our natural connection to the earth and to everything that we are as humans capable of doing historically prior to the rise of a hierarchical societies and then patriarchy and Christian and the death of the pagan religions. We, like I said before, it was more matriarchal or equal or tribal or what have you, and there wasn't as much violence, and the world was a different place. Nature was respected, everything had its purpose, and just in the past 3,000 to 4,000 years, since it's made the full transition over, and the beginning of like Judeo-Christianity and all of that, and patriarchy, we see so much destruction occurring, war, the environment, the treatment of animals. We can just go on and on and on. And some will say, oh, evolution has benefited and done all this kind of stuff, and capitalism is great, and patriarchy is great, or they can make all these excuses, but not everything in evolution, as originally my minor is anthropology, not history. It's switched, so I'm not dumb. Not everything that's evolutionary is a positive trait, and people need to keep that in mind. It's just we evolve to change to be able to survive in this society, in the world in which we currently live in, mentally, physically, etc. So when I'm talking about this inner warrior goddess, I'm talking about regaining strength, empowerment, as well as returning to the wild, to this idea of not a hierarchical mindset, and returning to a place where everything was more harmony and more peaceful and natural, and life was just completely different and much freer, where we didn't have these ideas and rules set upon us onto how we are supposed to behave as people, as individuals, and as women. Like, as people, like, that certain careers, certain jobs, whatever, are better than being the artist, being the wise woman, which was the once praised thing, is now seen as, oh, you're a cuckoo, you're crazy. A lot of just returning to that natural essence of who we were prior. So that's pretty much the gist of it, and I'm not going to go much further into detail, except for when discussing the few books I'm going to recommend for everyone to check out. The next video officially to do with the series will be the first week of November. However, if I do have extra time next week or the week after, I am going to do one, because I am very excited about this series. Please bear with me the next few weeks. The quality of my videos, I know, has gone downhill. It was never that great to begin with, but I currently only have an iPhone to use and not any editing equipment currently that is working. So that's what we have to work with. I also am right now trying to get over bronchitis, which is why my YouTube Pagan Challenge video was not out this last week, Sunday, so I'm going to be doubling those up. But I'm going to move on to the books to kind of move this forward and get going, because I kind of have been rambling. So, first I'm going to talk about these 3 books. There is much more to this series, and I find this to be an extremely important series for anybody that is interested in furthering this series that I am creating. And I just really recommend any book from the series. They're 20 to 30 pages for the most part. They all also include either a ritual, meditation, altar ideas, various correspondence for each one. For example, I'm just opening the Isis and Hathor one here. It says their meaning of their name, the origin, what family, areas of influence, attributes, zodiac, elements, trees, herbs and flowers, foods, offerings, symbols, animals, colors, crystals, metals, and all that good stuff to kind of help you out if you would like to go forth on trying to connect to a said goddess. But these books are called Celebrate the Divine Feminine, Reclaim Your Power with Ancient Goddess Wisdom series, and it's written by Joy F. Reichart, who is has a master's degree in women's spirituality, and also is a life coach and is a spiritual counselor and does many other things such as Reiki. So basically, she's pretty much where I want to be in about 10 years from now, to be honest. So she obviously has a good background to kind of dispel certain things that have been told over time in the past 3,000 to 4,000 years, changing the stories of the goddesses, and she does that very, very well. And you'll hear a little more about what she has to say also in future videos just on certain goddesses. So just to make this quick, right here I have Artemis, I have Hecate, and I have that Isis and Hathor right here. There are many more, and I have other ones. I just thought these would be 3 good ones to start with. I think that the Hecate is probably extremely important if you're going to continue with this series. If you want to get these books and want to get a certain order, the Hecate, and then the book I'm going to recommend next, as for goddesses go, are extremely important. So these 3 are very great. They tell the story of each of the goddesses from a different viewpoint. Very educational. The Artemis, for example, tells the story of the Trojan War and how it's been told over time. And then her interpretation and her theory, which is more of a herstory, if we want to go there, rather than the history version, and it kind of is sharing that the Trojan War and Artemis's lack of involvement as she was supposed to, and the Amazonians and all this, that with them losing, that kind of was one of the pivotal points in which patriarchy really started to win, and where the death of this wild woman, feminine goddess, amazing life world ended. So these are good books. I'm gonna try and move this on because it's already been a while, but again, these are my super vlogs, so you gotta bear with me. The next one is called Welcoming Lilythe, Awakening and Welcoming Pure Female Power. I hope this is showing clearly. Move back a little bit. It's by Teresa C. Dentino, who is a wise woman, an earth worker and an initiated diviner. She actually, in this book, talks about, mentions the stories of the wise woman, and how she was told all her life that this strega, I believe is the way that the Italians say it, was seen as, or she was taught to believe was a negative thing, but she later learned that that was actually the wise women who I was speaking of earlier. And what I love about this book, this might be one of my favorite books, is that it has various chapters, and in each chapter it has a ritual to do with that chapter, and each chapter is probably only like 4 to 5 pages tops. This is also another short, quick read, only about 50 pages, and it's bigger printed. So these are very quick reads, very cheap, and very informative very quickly. I'm going to really talk in depth about this particular book in the future, so I'm just going to kind of touch on it right now. She uses her own personal life and development and things that she has gone through. It's kind of like a journal, as well as various things that are placed upon women that are seen as negative, and twisting them into positive, and then also using how Lilith can be used, or has been used, as the negative example for why this is a bad quality to have as a woman, and then turns it around and says, wait a minute, no, because she does this, it's actually a positive. And I really, really love it. And it's not because, obviously, as you know, with my name being Lilith in for everything, that's not why, because my thing with Lilith. It's actually just, it wouldn't have mattered what goddess was used. It's just a really great read, and it's something different. And at first I was a little iffy about it, and when I was reading the intro, or the preface. But once I really got into, started reading each chapter and looking at the titles of the chapters, I was like, wait a minute, this is hella cool. And it really, really is. An example of one of the titles is Lilith is a hairy woman, and talks about the idea of shaving legs and being terrified of it. And then there's another one about Lilith being thrown into the Red Sea, and that one's about periods and the menstrual cycle, and how we should how it's seen as such a negative thing, and how it's used against us and all this kind of stuff, but we should be embracing and empowered about it, which is one of the type of topics we'll be talking about in this series. Then there's like Lilith is the raging woman, and Lilith is the muse, and Lilith is the savior of stillborns, and Lilith is the shadow woman, and Lilith is a black woman. Lilith is a woman of power. It's just, the one about periods is Lilith is bleeding woman. I think it's probably it is my favorite Lilith book right now. I've read so much about Lilith, but I really love this book because it's so original and interesting, and because of the way it's broken down, it keeps you very interested, because like I said, short chapters, then gives you rituals or things that you can do to help empower yourself. They're not rituals like, casting a circle type rituals. They're rituals of empowerment. So like, for instance, if you were in therapy, like a worksheet or something that you'd have to do to get better or healthier, to work on yourself. So this is a great book that touches, this book and the last 3 that I talked about really sum up everything. This is my list of everything that this series has to do with: inner goddess, sisterhood, truth of goddesses, patriarchy, and Christianity. These 4 books that I just talked about, Welcoming Lilith, and then the Celebrate the Divine Feminine series, all encompass all of it, and really slap the face of patriarchy and our current society and all that, and everything that we've been taught as women, as human beings in general, and about these women especially. The next book I'm going to recommend is the last goddess book on my list for today, which is Minerva Rules Your Future. This is not a pagan-based book at all. This is not really related to any of the other books, but, I mean, it's pagan in the sense that it has, like, rituals and connecting that you can do, but the author writes it in a way that anybody with any kind of belief system can use that, and tries to get them to understand the purpose of using Minerva and and what she does. And I kind of enjoy that. I was, again, a little weary about this book at first. It is an $18 book, but I only got it for $3 on Amazon, used, and it's in very good condition. Just to give you a quick example, because I don't want to get into it, I'm right here, this indigo gaba that I'm wearing is my amulet that I cleansed for the purpose of this, and it helps you with trying to get the career you want. It has you kind of look at yourself and analyze, are you doing what you really want to do? And it does it in a earth-based spirituality way, but like I said, they try to explain it to, the author tries to explain it to people who may not have that belief system as well. It also has you work with your sun and moon sign, and what kind of things you could be working on. It's a pretty damn good book, and it's also another quick read. Actually, it's about 170 pages or so, but I read it in one evening, and I use it daily. I used it through my whole grad school application process. Like, there was just a quick excerpt out of this, a page in which you do a certain ritual prior, calling upon Minerva prior to writing a paper to get a job or an internship or to get into college. And I did that, and then I went and wrote my paper, and it was freaking amazing. A side note, I do have a Minerva potion, if anybody cares. But this is, so Minerva Rules Your Future, Goddess Given Advice for Smart Moves at Work. So what it says is, if you are ready to seek out the path to creative fulfillment, there's no better guide to launch your journey. Based on years of helping clients make major career decisions that affect all aspects of their lives, Barry Dolnick teaches you to uncover and heal creative bruises, those negative beliefs that get in the way of advancement and change. Be aware of and learn how to use your power, your real ability to influence yourself and the world around you. Identify and maximize your assets. Take concrete steps to do the work you are meant to do. Accept obstacles and setbacks without giving up on your dreams. Acknowledge and share your success. And I really like the fact that they have you do, like, meditations and things and rituals to connect, to try and find and figure out if you are in the right direction. They also have you meditate and see how well you're doing being connected to each element, which is pretty cool. I found out that the only element I am not very connected to is air, so I need to work on that. So, and it tells you how to work on that, so I've been doing that. So again, quick, good book. Now moving on. Women Who Run with Wolves. Okay, so this was on, like, my must-read list for, like, ever. I'm still not finished with it. I've read up to chapter 10. It is a long book, and it's small print, so you can see why. And after I finished those books, I got sick with bronchitis, and my daughter's sick, so really haven't had the time to, like, focus and read a lot. But I've wanted to read this for such a long time, even before I saw Joanna DeVoe talk about it a couple times in various blogs. But amazing book. Since we're already at the 30-minute point, I'm just gonna quick tell you what it's about. It is a bestseller. It's by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, PhD. It's Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype. It says, within every woman there lives a powerful force filled with good instincts, passionate creativity, and ageless knowing. She is the wild woman, who represents the instinctual nature of women, but she is the endangered species. In Women Who Run with the Wolves, Dr. Estes unfolds rich intercultural myths, fairy tales, and stories, many from her own family, in order to help women reconnect with the fierce, healthy, visionary attributes of this instinctual nature. So, yes, reconnecting with the natural wild women, wild people we are supposed to be. That is important. This is a must read for everyone. Again, this is another book I got for $7. No, that was with that. No, it is $7, but I got it cheaper than $7 on Amazon used. But you can get it for $7, and I'm gonna put the links below for all these books. And there's freaking quotes and recommendations from freaking Alice Walker and Maya Angelou. So if you know anything about the feminist world, yeah, you get it. And then the last one is the Warrior Goddess Training, Become the Woman You Are Meant to Be. Books. This is the book, and this is the companion workbook. I so cannot pronounce her name, so I'm just gonna show. But I follow her on Facebook, and she's actually right now doing a challenge, which, well, not a challenge, a 21-day, I believe, thing, and there's like a video warrior goddess thing every day, and and then there's like a meditation or a audio thing for each day that you listen to, and it helps you get to your best place. The first day, for example, was a meditation where you met your old child you, and then the old woman you, and they both give you some type of direction or advice, and that was really amazing. So this is the path to your inner warrior goddess. It says, it's no secret that women today are struggling a lot. We now make up more than half the workforce in the United States and are busier than ever with partners, children, family, and friends, often putting the needs of others ahead of our own. Hello, empaths. And if we feel overwhelmed by it all or fall short of perfection, many of us have learned to be our own worst critic rather than our own best friend. That's where finding our inner warrior goddess comes in. So that's the main thing. It's about becoming the woman you are meant to be. And then there's also a workbook that you don't have to get the workbook, but I highly recommend getting the workbook. It really helps. And yeah, that's my recommendations. My recommendations took about like 14 minutes to discuss them. So now I know in the future if I'm going to do recommendations, just do them as a separate quick video. So there you have it. That's the intro super blog to what my series that I'm coming up with is. And it took 33 minutes. And I apologize so much for it being so damn long. You can watch, I hope you watched it in little bits or had it as background noise, because you did not need to like look at my face, because I'm not even looking straight at the camera. So anyways, as usual, I will have the links below. I love you all. Subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Check out my Etsy page. Sign up for my newsletter. The newsletter now is going to be having a daily goddess wisdoms and quotes. And that's all, folks. I love you all. And please press that subscribe button if you have not subscribed yet. And like if you do so, comments below. And I look forward to next week's video, which will be on Samhain, and this week's Sunday double Pagan Challenge video, and perhaps a video doing with this series. So thank you for bearing with me, and I'll shut up now and let you go about your day. Again, love you. Subscribe, like, share. Bye. Have a great next few days.